Dick Vermeil. Hey, everybody. So, my next football card video is of, Dick Vermeil. Um, Once again, I make these videos because of the memories I have of football players, football coaches, and just important people around the NFL and so on. Well, I decided to make a video of Dick Vermeil because I do have a lot of memories of this guy, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so my earliest memories of first, okay, this card right here, 2022 contenders, and yeah, that's his autograph right there. Hall of Fame 2012, St. Louis Rams. And I chose this card because, well, I'm a Rams fan. Even though it's St. Louis Rams, I still watched them because they were one of my favorite teams. Dick Vermeil has a lot of other autograph cards with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. But once again, I chose the Rams because, I'm a huge Rams fan. So, okay, so, anyways, the earliest memories I have of Dick Vermeil, I actually remember him as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles back in 1980, 81. Back then, when I was 10, when I was 11 years old. Now, I was kind of still learning about about the NFL and football because I was only like 10 years old, 11 years old. But I do remember Dick Vermeil because he was the head coach of the Eagles, and the Eagles were in the Super Bowl against the Oakland Raiders, not the Los Angeles Raiders, but the Oakland Raiders. And I remember hearing about the Super Bowl. Like I said, I was only like 10, 11 years old. And I remember hearing about the Super Bowl and all that kind of stuff. And then the Oakland Raiders against the Philadelphia Eagles, and then I would hear about the players and the coaches, and then the Raiders win, and I remember parts of the game. I didn't watch the whole game, but I remember parts of the game, and so I have memories of Dick Vermeil all the way back then. And then a couple years later, 1983, after he lost the Super Bowl, a couple seasons later, he retires. And I was like 13 years old, 1983, and I remember him retiring. Uh, and I don't remember the reasons why or anything like that. I just remember uh, it made the news, the sports part of the news, and anyways, so I actually remember that. And then after that, he became a sports broadcaster, play-by-play guy, or whatever you want to call it, during the 1980s for CBS. So I actually remember him on TV as a sports broadcaster during the 80s. And then, I don't know, I hear about him here and there throughout the 80s and 90s. And then I hear about him getting a job, going back to football and coaching, being the head coach of the St. Louis Rams. And I thought, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. He's back in football. All right. Well, little did I know that he would, take them to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl against the Tennessee Titans, the greatest show on turf in 2000. So that was pretty cool. Kurt Warner, greatest show on turf. Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, a lot of just really good players. So they were fun to watch for sure. The St. Louis Rams, 1999, 2000, 2001, they were fun to watch. And then what else? And then he retires. What I forget exactly when, but like uh, he retires after the Super Bowl, and then he comes out of retirement and goes and coaches the Chiefs. In 2001. He retires and coaches the Chiefs and does a decent job. And then 2005, 2006, then he retires. And right now it's 2026 and he hasn't come back. So, yeah, back in 2006. So he's been retired for the last 18, 19, 20 years. So, but anyways, like I said, I make these videos because of memories of NFL players and head coaches. And I do have a lot of memories of Dick Vermeil.